Where do priests train and what do they study? Well, priests train in a special college called a seminary. Seminaries were established in the 16th century. They mean seedbed for the training and formation of priests. So it's a lot more than just learning things. The seminarian should change and grow as a person, as a whole person throughout their formation. So that's why it's important for them to live in-house and not for it just to be a distance learning course. As a Christian, they are formed into an image of Christ. Seminary formation now takes 7 years. There is a mandatory 1 year, what we call a propedeutic year, and then that's followed usually in a different seminary for 2 years philosophy and 4 years theology. Philosophy is important to study before theology because it helps us to understand how to think. If we don't do philosophy before we study theology, then we end up making all sorts of strange mistakes. A priest will also have to learn the biblical languages, Greek and Hebrew, as well as Latin. Latin is still the official language of the church. It's the language in which canon law, the law of the church, is written. And it's very important to be able to go back to the source text and not necessarily rely on translations. It's still the language of the liturgy, and this is something that very much is part and parcel of what the Second Vatican Council said. The law of the Church actually states that a priest must have enough Latin in order to be able to say Mass and to administer the other sacraments. Also, a seminarian should study things like church history to have a really good understanding right from the age of the apostles to the current day, what's gone on in the church, the historical movement and the origins of the religious orders, which shaped the way that we think and practice as Catholic Christians today. A seminarian will often study other subjects such as bioethics, Catholic social teaching, the Church Fathers, patristics and canon law, amongst many, many other subjects, which for me was a fascinating journey through the richness of Western civilization, because the Church has been so interwoven with the history of Europe over the last couple of millennia. A seminarian will also have a number of pastoral placements throughout their tenure at seminary, and depending on the different seminaries and the ways that they do things, this will often involve an extended pastoral placement in a parish, but in some cases might involve a weekend placement every weekend while they're at seminary, or it could involve a summer placement, a placement at Lourdes or another site of pilgrimage, or an annual parish placement at some point in the year, either in January or at the end of term, in order to allow the student to appreciate the realities of pastoral life and the challenges of living priesthood in the 21st century by observing an experienced priest who can guide them through and give them the benefit of their experience.